After waking up convinced that she's going to die tomorrow, Amy begins to unravel. Like a pandemic, her delusions of certain death become contagious to those around her. Amy and her friends' lives spiral out of control, driving them and everyone they come into contact with into a kind of madness. This movie is a low-budget curse film where madness spreads like an infectious disease, sometimes in the form of substance abuse, sometimes in the form of violence, and sometimes in the form of unfulfilling romantic relationships. Unfortunately, this movie is a long, dreary slog. The story never quite comes together. The movie is so cloaked in mystery and unanswered questions, its viewer will simultaneously assume they know what it's about while understanding nothing. In part, that's because the director doesn't seem to have determined where the story will exist in the fraught juncture between nightmarish reality and realistic nightmare. There's uncertainty over whether Amy's fear that she's actually going to die tomorrow is real. There are at least a couple of reasons. Maybe it's caused by some external haunted entity, or maybe it's a turbocharged version of everyday panic, fed by that end result of nights wasted on dealing with Twitter hate and cable news anxiousness. Whatever the reason, it doesn't need to be made clear for the film to succeed, but even as Amy's personal apocalypse turns viral and eventually bloody, the story fails to pick up the pace. Part of this movie's inability to hook itself to the terror of the moment is the paucity of the concept. So much of it is repetitious even as it digs deeply into the relationship that haunts Amy and may have kicked off her panic. For the first several minutes of the movie, we watch a distraught woman crying and hugging a wall while listening to an opera record over and over. If you made it through that and cannot wait to find out what happens next, you will be rewarded with more of pretty much the same and then given an ambiguous ending. By the end, we are in many ways back where it began. If so, her story would have been better suited to follow almost any of the other characters rather than continue focusing on Amy's paralytic fear. She may or may not die tomorrow, but the narrow, unenlightening range of her anxiety ultimately kills the movie.